welcome to the podcast that buffs your Hearthstone game. This is Villains Chosen.
Not all who wander are lost.
Greetings, visionaries, and welcome to Villains Chosen. Whether you're a competitive player, an arena specialist, deck building visionary, or you haven't been playing Hearthstone for a long time and you're coming back because there's a new set and it just dropped this week, and so now you're back into all the Hearthstone things, including podcasts, we can help you buff your game and get back into the game strong and full steam. I am Grant Gould, the watcher, the watchman, the person that people will ask if, you know, who watches me. From coming to you live from Texas, Tejas, as some people prefer to call it. And joining me from across the North American continent, because we're creating content, is none other than your favorite Canadian, Eve Martin. How you doing, Eve?
Do people actually say Tejas?
Tejas is what it was originally called. Yep.
Tejas.
Yeah. And fun fact, Texas is the only state that can fly the state flag at the same height as the United States flag, because Texas was a country before it was a state. Bet you didn't know that.
No, I didn't, because I'm Canadian.
Did you know? Well, so you're probably hearing somebody else laugh on our show. And joining us, very special guest, returning to the show, our good friend, Navalis. Welcome back, Navalis.
Hey, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me on again after a few months here. So it's good to be back hanging with you guys, just talking about Hearthstone and other things like in the pre-show. So it's been good.
Yeah. It's always fun, the little catch-ups that we do before the show that most of our listeners never hear because, well, sometimes we don't want them to. But there's a whole lot of tomfoolery and other things going on. So Navalis is back on their show, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have him guest this week, other than the fact that he's a cool guy and, you know, he's a pretty good Hearthstone player and all that good stuff, is if those of you who know him, some of you do, some of you may not, but he was pretty involved in our community in the Hearthstone for a number of years. And there came a point within the last 6 months, as many people who have been playing Hearthstone have had happen, where they just kind of decided to take a break from the game. Let's just put it that way. And I kind of wanted to pick his brain, because now he's back. He's been playing Hearthstone. I saw proof that he actually spent money on it. Right? Is that true?
I did spend money on it. So yes, I had to,
because I
had to, because I had like no gold, because I haven't really been playing. So
yeah. So he's back. He's invested. He's dug in now. And so I kind of just wanted to pick his brain. I wanted to ask him kind of about his journey in terms of, you know, where did it start losing its flavor, its fun, and then all of a sudden he's back. The community joins us. We throw our hands up in the air. It was kind of funny because I think there was a tweet or something in the Discord. Navalis proofs he's back, and everybody's like, "Yes, Navalis is back." So it's always kind of fun to get people back into the fold, as it were. So before we get going into that discussion, though, Navalis, let's just we've had you on the show before, so I'm not going to get too lengthy into it, but
yeah.
I'll just have you tell a couple little brief things about yourself. So, tell us about why you like card games, what got you into Hearthstone back in the old days, and what got you into gaming. Kind of just a little of your background, if you don't mind.
Oh, no problem. I've always kind of been a gamer since the earliest age. We were talking about the NES, so that's, I guess, when gaming first started with me. But card games, just Pokemon, just kind of like friends, trading cards and everything, just because Pokemon was the thing. I was like right at that age for Pokemon at its height. And so playing that, funny stories, you know, just trading Pokemon cards after church and all that stuff, you know, all the good thing young kids do and stuff like that. And
sitting
then
in church thinking about Pokemon, right?
Oh, exactly. You know, it's like couldn't wait for it to get over and then go out back and, do stuff like that till we had to leave and everything. But so yeah, I did that. Right. And then, was just kind of on and off with the card games for just, you know, I've always liked board games too and everything. But, it wasn't until my brother and my brother-in-law, they started playing, Magic the Gathering. And then they're like, hey, you played Pokemon, you should play Magic the Gathering. It's like more mature and everything else, which is still a children's
course.
card game, But anyway, they're trying to like get me in, and they did. So I played in some tournaments and everything. But I'll be honest, I just hated like traveling to events, like even if it was like local events and sitting like all day Saturday in a card shop. Like that wasn't for me. I did it. It was fun. I made good friends and everything. Some I still stay in contact with, but I'm just like, and then I had a friend. He's like, hey, have you checked out Hearthstone? And I'm like, no. And this is like back in with, I guess it's what Blackrock Mountain is that? That was the campaign. I can't remember. One of the early campaigns just came out. He's like, hey,
That was the second one.
The second one,
Snacks and then BlackRock.
Okay, yeah. It was BlackRock because it was like a bunch of dragons, I believe. And he's like, oh man, you gotta check this out. It's like, I'm like, okay, cool. I like dragons. Dragons are cool, And so I bought the campaign and everything, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool and everything. It's like, it's a little different than Magic and everything, which is okay. But I'm like, I can play on my computer. I can play on my phone. I'm like, I like this. And so just the mobile aspect was really nice. And, so I started playing that, and I think you guys were the second podcast I started listening to out of all the Hearthstone podcasts. The first one was the Happy Hearthstone. And so that was with Josh.
The oldest running podcast.
Yes, the oldest running podcast. Yes. Because I was playing it, but I didn't.
Did you listen to it when it was Andrew or before Andrew?
No, it was Josh. So, yeah, it goes back way back then. Yeah,
Back in the day.
Back in the day and everything. And then he mentioned like Valen's Chosen or something, I think once on it. And I'm like, hey, there's another Hearthstone podcast. I didn't like, for some reason, I was searching for Hearthstone podcasts and I couldn't I don't know. Anyway, but I found you guys too. And then I found out you guys had a Discord, and I think you were the first Hearthstone Discord I ever joined. So there you go.
Ooh.
And yes. Back when Andrew was on the podcast too and everything. So that got me involved in the community. That was my jump into the community, because before that, I just kind of played against random people. The only people that had friends were people that added me and kind of yelled at me through typing. And so, and tried to insult everything in my
Friends.
life. Yes. Friends, quotations. Yes. And and so some of them some of the original people that got mad at me they didn't unfriend me. They're still on there, and I never talked to them, but I'm just like, they're still, I'm like,
sometimes you need options for when you have the spectator person quest. And they might just have no friends and no options.
Yes. I did that. Honestly, I had 3 people. I'm like, he's probably this person, he, she, whoever this person is going to probably get mad at me. Like, why are you spectating me? I'm like, I need a free pack. Okay. Leave me alone. All right. Just win your
You're
game.
on my friends list. Okay. And you haven't turned
what's
the
your
button
angle,
off,
man?
which means I can't spectate you. So that means I can.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. I just morbid curiosity, because I like to ask questions to get feedback from our listeners. How many of you listeners have 20 or less friends, 50 or less friends, or 100 or less friends? Because when you're a content creator, people know it's kind of like in a classroom. It's easier to remember the teacher's name, but it's harder to remember for the teacher to remember the students' names. So when everybody knows who you are, they just friend you, and so they look for you versus you don't know to look for the other folks. So I'm just curious to know what people's friend lists are like. Because mine, I'm always having to manage it because people friend request me, and I usually almost always accept it unless they turn out to be jerks or something. That's what the unfriend button's for. And so I'm just curious. So Navalis,
Yes.
Glad to have you back
Thanks, man. Thanks.
again. So when did you start kind of feeling like you wanted to return to her? Well, let me ask. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay, go ahead.
At what point in time, because you've hit Legend multiple times, you were dug in deep. It wasn't like you couldn't play the game, you were getting frustrated. You had a reasonable card collection because you've been playing for a while. What was your exit point? Like, what made you decide, I need to take a break from this game?
Let's see.
And why was it Priest?
Why was it Priest?
And why was it Priest?
Hey, Wicked Good and I have a special thing for Priest. So anyway, back when Barnes was the main thing, without, when it was a little bit more of a challenge to play, you didn't have every other card was a resurrect spell. Anyway, but anyway, so because I started What the Deck on, which is kind of like a 2-minute synopsis thing, which I have things in the works. I may talk about that later, but I did that for a while and everything. But I think the biggest thing that really just made me stop and start thinking about the game is when they when they basically put tournament mode on the back shelf, when they like the in-game client tournament mode. Because I've been clamoring, if you know me, like talking to other people, it's like they need more modes in this game. They really do. And when you play, especially now with games like Eternal, games with like Magic Arena, I know they're still trying to keep Hearthstone's trying to keep the, like, I guess, new player aspect pretty simple, the interface and everything else.
Right.
But when all these other games are coming out and being successful and they have way more options to how to play the game instead of just Arena, Ranked Ladder, or Tavern Brawl, because, it's just kind of like, okay, tournament mode was something that, people could set up. You could have instead of going through, like Battlefy and, other places like that, which are kind of annoying. Third parties, which are kind of annoying to use. And so it wasn't even that, because I would have used tournament mode just for fun and everything. It wasn't going to be like a serious thing, but it just showed like what direction are they taking this game? Because they said they were going to do this and they didn't do it. And then Ben Brode leaving also. I'm just like, okay. And I'm just like, I want to see the direction this game is going to go in. I'm just curious, because I think it was just for a little bit. It seemed like Hearthstone was lost. Just for like, that was just me. It was just like for a couple months there, it seemed like who's the leader? Who's the captain of the ship?
Right.
Where's the ship steering? And I wasn't sure. And I was just like, okay, I'm just going to sit back. And I enjoyed, I think it was the Boomsday Project was the set that came out last August, I believe. And I enjoyed that set. That was kind of cool, because it was Roskatan's Rumble after that. That was in December. Yeah. And so
Rastakhan,
yeah. And so I was like, in the power level at the time was pretty high, pretty crazy. So I wrote down some reasons. I don't know if you want me to get into those now or later. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
That's why you're here, man.
Okay. So disclaimer, everyone. These are my opinions. Okay. These are not truth.
Hey, that's why we brought you on the show, to get your voice, your opinion.
Yes, these are not inspired or anything else right here. I'm just like, this is a heartfelt conversation of why I left, okay? And also why I'm back now, too. So please don't tweet at me that you hate me or anything like that. These are,
don't at him, bros.
Yes,
you know what?
please.
I feel like for whatever reason, there were quite a few people in our community who may not have completely left, but were definitely feeling burnout, or just kind of playing a lot less, playing like every now and again, or at least had some kind of disgruntlement with the game. So I think a lot of people feel a measure of the same thing that you went through.
Yeah. And so I think the biggest thing is after the Boomsday Project, because I played until, I want to say October, and because that's when they started revealing new cards October, November, whenever they started revealing Roskatan Rumble, that's when I kind of decided to set back for a little bit, and I'll get into the reason for a second for that. But I was waiting until then to see the next set, because I wasn't sure what direction the game was going in. But there was just certain cards and things that I was just tired of facing over and over and over and over again. Right. And people know that my distaste and disdain for Voidlord is quite epic. And yes. And so
you and Eve both.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not a great fan of it myself.
I'm not going to say, I think that card by itself is fine, honestly. I do. I think it's fine. 9 cost for what it does. I don't have a problem with it. But, coming out on turn 4 or 5, whatever, I have a problem with that. And so.
I have a problem more with making multiple.
And see, exactly. It wasn't so much like, it was Goldan that brought it all back again. So it brought back 3.
Ooze.
Yeah, go ahead.
And use.
Yes.
Redundancy.
Yeah,
redundancy.
Kill
it
it,
was just,
and then bring back more, and then kill it again, bring back more, and kill it. Yeah.
Part of my thing was I was having these 20-minute matches against these decks sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, this is not fun. And that comes again. I wasn't having fun. And then there was another card, Spreading Plague. I'm sure Eve loves that card too. And
you and I feel similarly about a lot of different cards.
Yes. I knew we were friends for a reason. And
you guys both play aggro decks by chance?
I like aggro decks. I play a variety of things, honestly, but I like control decks. I do. They're fun to play, but I know control decks go a little bit longer, but not 20, 25 minutes long. I don't want that, and I don't want Dead Man's Hand Warrior. I don't want stuff I see that stuff. I'm like, it's not worth fighting for a star. It's my 15 minutes of my life is worth more than this. And
fair.
And so, but like Spreading Plague, I can't believe that card used to cost 5 and they bumped it up to 6. And I'm just like,
Doesn't affect it that much.
it still didn't affect when you're ramping out to turn 6 on turn 3. You're like, did you really do anything? And
well, in Wild, it did.
Yeah. And so, but in Standard though, when you want like, my biggest thing is like these cards are. I'm trying to find that. This is my like main my first couple reasons is like you want the new players to have fun. You want players to have fun. You want this, and there was just a vocal. I don't know if you can say minor. I don't know if it's a majority, minority, but there was quite a few players, even pros, who were saying like, "This isn't fun doing this. It really isn't." And like, and that's why I felt like the game kind of lost because there was nothing being done. And I'm not saying calling for nerfs or anything like that because I do believe nerfs can be good when there is a problem, and I'm not sure because I'm not a game dev. I don't have all the stats and everything in front of me. Sure, but for me personally, I was just like, I'm trying to play aggro, and on turn 5, I get Spreading Plagued. I'm like, okay. And I know there's ways you can play around it, and you have to try to play around it and everything, but it's kind of like when Drew...
You only play 2 cards at a time. That's how you play around it.
Yes, and everything. I've had this discussion with plenty of other people that they're on the pro side or, this side and like, and everything. But, I'm just saying personally for me, it wasn't just fun. And I was like, okay, I understand this. And like, I had to play decks I didn't want to play to counter them basically because it's like, and I was like, I have to play this deck because this is the meta right now. And I know that's with every meta, there's going to be certain things, but it never seemed like to balance it out. It just kind of like, it was there. And then, with the direction of, I don't know, I'm trying to think, Boomsday, then there was other reasons too. I was just wondering what they're going to do with the other sets, because like Death Knights and quests, we know some quests were mistakes, like Rogue, and got nerfed 3 times, and that was it. Like, it was a cool idea, but I was kind of tired of them too, because I kind of use the example of like in Magic the Gathering, you have these thing called Planeswalkers, which are like basically like, they kind of do their own thing, but they're a card you play. They have abilities kind of like the Death Knight sort of in a roundabout way. Emblems. There we go. And so they can do like one ability per turn, and they either draw you a card, destroy an enemy, they're cool. But they always, Magic did, they did it to complement the deck, but not to be driving the deck. And I felt Death Knights just kind of drove a lot of decks. Like
Death Knights drove the meta.
Yes.
I think in a lot of ways.
And
if you're looking for an example, Hunter. Rexxar drove the meta.
Oh, yes, Rexxar. When I came back, like Hunter I was like, what just happened? I'm like, Rexxar is like the most powerful card right now. Like, I knew Rexxar was always good. And it's a cool card, don't get me wrong, but there's a difference between cool and if it's good. If it's good for the game type thing. And I just felt some of the games were just kind of like, with the Death Knights, when a Death Knight came down, it was like, oh, they got to 8-9 Death Knight. I'm like, they're going to win the game. I already knew. Like, I knew I didn't like resign. I fought on, and sometimes I did win, but most of the time I lost because they just kind of like, they were the icing on the cake. And it's just like, it was just like one of those things. I think there can be fair Death Knights. I think of,
the thing about the Death Knights is it could slam the door on it. Like I've had that experience more than once where you were playing along, everything seemed to be going well. You were playing a good game, and just because they play the Death Knight, now you can't win, or your odds of winning.
Jaina
just
always
went down
made me feel that way
a lot.
Yeah, Jaina comes to mind because when that played, if there's a player who's actually playing the deck well, and Jaina came down, it was like, it
always felt like at some point, like you had options, you had things you could do. There was a back and a forth, and like if I do this, I might be able to win. If you do that, you might be able to win. And then those were kind of like game end over cards.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
yeah.
So I knew these cards were there, and I was like, I'm not going to complain about them because they're in a game. You have to try and play around. I'm not complaining. I'm just letting you know how I feel. This is my mindset at the time, and I was thinking this and everything. And I was like, rotations coming in at that time was like, 4 or 5 months. And I was like, okay, that's still a long time to wait. But I'm like, there's a new set coming out, so I'm going to see what's going on with the set. Then I went all the cards were revealed from the set and everything. And I looked, I'm like, there's really nothing in this set that's going to impact the meta. And when that was one of the final things, I'm like, I need to take a break from here because we'll talk about that when I came back, because I started playing again in March because I wanted to rank up a little bit because I was at rank 25. So I kind of like I climbed up to rank 12 for like, and then I got back pretty fast, but and then I got to rank 12 by the end of the month because I wasn't playing a lot. But what I was seeing was I came back after, okay, get this, after like a 5-month break, I only crafted 4 cards and I had the tier 1 decks. And so,
what?
Yes,
really?
Okay. I crafted Zul'jin, the new, I crafted that one, Mass Hysteria, 2 of those.
Uh-huh.
Okay. It might have been a few more. Hey, Mass Hysteria. What else? I think it was 2 epics as well. And that's all I did because I was still playing Rogue. I'm like, Rogue is pretty much unchanged. I went to HS Replay, took the Rogue deck. I didn't even look at the cards. I did copy, paste, and I had all the cards. I'm like, we're still in the same meta. And I'm like, except there's Wall Priest and Hunter is prevalent now. They figured out Hunter. And like Spell Hunter was still a thing. He just had Zul'jin. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to play Spell Hunter and play Zul'jin, and so it was kind of crazy though. I'm like, I'm glad I took a break because,
wow, that's incredible. So you're just to repeat that in case listeners, you missed it. You took a break from October to March.
Mm-hmm.
You basically sat out a card set.
Mm-hmm.
You came back at the very end of this card set. You looked at the meta, and you only needed to craft 4 cards to be competitive.
I think 6 cards. I think it was 6 cards. 2 rares.
But
yeah, I think it was either 5 or 6 cards to be competitive. So,
which is, in my opinion, next to nothing in terms of what do you need to play the game. And it's like, really, you could take that much time off, come back in, and just jump right back in.
Yeah.
That to me says it screams stagnant. Now, of course, this is retrospectively, of course, but wow.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, from I can't, in the Rumble pack.
Rastakhan.
Yes, thank you. Rastakhan. Okay, like I haven't said that word a lot because I had to look up before I got on the show, like, what was that set again? Because, like I said, I only crafted 5 cards from that set. And since the meta's come out, I've crafted a few more cards because there's actually some cards that are playable because of rotation and all that stuff.
Right.
But, I was like, I want to play Spell Hunter. Oh, I have the dust for Zul'jin, and that seems pretty good. And so I have Spell Hunter now, which was a top deck. And then, it was, then I think I crafted 2 more epics for Hunter. It was, the, mid-range Hunter list. Yeah, I think Master's Call. That was. And so I did that a little bit later on. So it might have been 8 cards. I think it was definitely less than, I'm trying to count all the cards in my head but it was less than 10 cards. Okay. I know I did not craft because I did not have that much dust and I had like almost no gold. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm going to craft this. And I'm like, oh, I got Rogue. I got Wall Priest. I got Spell Hunter. I got Mid-Range Hunter. I got, what were the other decks? I didn't play any of the, Warrior decks because they did have some. I played Secret Mage too. Yeah.
Even or Odd Mage, what was it? It was
Odd Mage.
Odd Mage. I played Odd Mage. And I'm like, yeah, there's still even Paladin and Odd Paladin and Odd Mage. I'm like, okay. So, and then I just climbed. I made like 4 or 5 decks. I'm like, okay, back where it is. And then I didn't encounter Wall Priest until I got to rank 12. And I'm like, yeah, I know why people hate this deck now. And that was my first experience with it. So, and then I had all the cards for like Mass Hysteria, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try playing it too. And I'm like, yeah, this deck is really stupid as well. Like, Rexxar and Wall Priest are.
So did you feel like turning right back around and going out again?
No, because I knew rotation wasn't and I knew all those cards like Gen and Baku, which thankfully they made the right decision and rotated them out. They did the right. When I heard that kind of piqued my interest. That's when I'm like, okay, I already knew I was gonna look at rotation, but when I saw that on Twitter that like Ridiculous Hat or one of you guys like tweeted it out. I was like, wait a second, they're getting rid of okay. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a look at maybe they're moving this game back in the right direction. And that kind of goes into
you knew all the Death Knights were going out.
Yes. And that's the big thing. Death Knight, Spreading Plague, Void Lord's gone. Thank you. And so
if you don't play Wild, it's gone.
Yeah. I haven't touched Wild because I heard that's a fiesta going on over there right now. And,
yeah, it's a clown fiesta at the moment.
Yeah. And so
they'll figure it out.
They will. It's just crazy right now, which is fine. Some people like that and have fun. If you're having fun, that's okay. Have fun. And so that was that because that was like another thing. Like I said, that was one of the other reasons. So that was like my third reason. First reason, cards. Second, well, I guess between Voidlord, Spreading Plague, Death Knights, it was cards. It was just I wasn't having fun. The second reason was just because like the Rastakhan's Rumble just kind of like didn't really impact the meta. And when I came back, that was kind of proof. I was like, oh, I kind of was right. And then the last thing, and I'm not going to bash Ben Broder or anything. I love the guy, okay? And so this is constructive criticism if anything else, okay? I think he's an amazing dude, okay? So I got to tread carefully. I was talking to Zeroshio and Avantes about this, and I'm like, guys, I'm not bashing him or anything. But because he did take Hearthstone to the next level. He truly did. He took it to, like, just, the popularity, everything, his personality, everything. But some of the direction, because, overall, he was the director, in the game. He was the captain of the ship, whatever, his ideas was being implemented in that sense, but what I was looking at right here, just kind of like, I don't know if it was him, but that's why I'm not bashing him or anything, because I don't know how the whole, hierarchy works underneath him and everything else. But just being slow to nerf, slow to communicate, being just the way the direction going, because we were getting the quests and we were getting the Death Knights, and I'm like, I don't like the way this game is going direction. If we're going to keep doing these things, I'm like, in the power level, I knew rotation was coming, but I'm like, the power level was just kind of like, it was too much. And I know rotation, but this is like, rotation was 8 months out, and I'm like, the power level is so crazy. We shouldn't, we're doing really stupid things in this game. And it was just the game direction. And like I said before, with them canceling the built-in tournament mode and just, like I said, that was like one of the other things, especially when Rastakhan's Rumble, they're like, oh, we're doing this. And I'm like, these cards are not going to do anything. And I was just like kind of a loss. I was like, I need to take a step back. I don't want to.
Yeah. It seemed a lot like how do I say this accurately? Mm-hmm. It sounded the way they were coming across, because certainly there's the behind the scenes, but perception is such a huge thing.
Yes.
It's not what is half the times. It's what people think it is, that really can make a big difference. And there was a span of time where it felt like, well, who's in charge of the game? Who's calling the shots? Why would you do it this way? Why would you do this? Why do we have to have a 2-year tournament? Why would you say there's going to be a tournament mode and then say, oh, no, wait. And then the whole community feels like they've been bait and switched. That's not a good thing to do to a community of people who want to play your game and are willing to give you money for it. And they're saying, yeah, do this. We'll pay you for this. Yeah. And then they say, oh, no, we're not going to do it. And then everybody's like, well, you can't have my money now. You just told me you'd get it. Now you're not going to do it. You know what I mean? It's almost turns into like a game with a child. We're the kids, I guess, and they're the parent. You said you'd take me to Disneyland. Now we're not going. Don't make promises you don't want to keep, right?
Exactly. And
so anyways, go ahead.
No. Yeah, it was that. And I was doing content for the game too, and I was not having fun. And like, I made a promise to myself, if I wasn't having fun, I'm going to take a break. Just plain and simple. I'm not going to push through it. I'm like, for all you podcasters, you two and everyone else who trudged through the sludge, that type of thing. I commend you all. So, and because it was great when I came back, because I did listen to Hearthstone podcasts occasionally throughout the time too. Like you guys and some other people. I'm not going to name anyone else because I don't want people to get upset. And, just to kind of, just to kind of like, stay on, see what's going on, because, all of you are my friends and all that stuff. And and it was a tight knit community that I was part of. Go ahead.
So I was just curious to ask you, Nevilis, I know that you got involved pretty heavily into Eternal. Did you hit Masters, right? Did I see that?
I do. I pretty much hit Masters every month in that game. And that was part of the reason I kind of like to step back from Eternal, because I started doing content for that game. And kind of with Avantes and Avantes and Zeroshio, because they played a little bit and they're like, hey, you play the game, you should do a podcast for it. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, I've always wanted to try podcasting. And so me and another guy from Knoxville, BB, him and I he plays the game. He plays more competitively than me. I'm more of a just hit Masters every month, which is like their legend basically, and mess around with decks and just talk about them and stuff. And he is more of the competitive side. So I think we have a good show. It's called From the Void Podcast. You can find it on iTunes and Spotify. So if you play Eternal, go check it out. It's pretty cool.
What did you like about Eternal, like that was different than the Hearthstone scene? Because we've got pretty clear idea of like what Hearthstone wasn't doing for you at the time, and then
Yes.
what was Eternal offering you besides maybe just being a different game.
First, one thing that wasn't different was the communication was still poor. They didn't like communicate very well. But one thing I did like, when there was a problem in the game, they fixed it. Like with cards, if something was overpowered, and they didn't. Sometimes they nerfed it, or they buffed cards also to combat. They didn't just nerf cards, which was, Hearthstone really didn't really kind of buff things. And some of the cards they actually nerfed, they actually buffed them and changed maybe the wording on them because they said, hey, this is more of a balanced card. We want it back to the same cost, but you can't do this. But now it sees play now. And so how they were balancing things out and the content that was being produced by them, I was having fun, and that was the main thing. Because it was always like a secondary game to me, and I was playing Hearthstone, and I was playing that on the side too, and I was just because sometimes you only can face Q block so many times, and I have to play something else. It was like that type thing. So, so I would go play that and everything, but they were quicker to change things. So for that, there's a problem. The reason, I played Eternal basically a whole year before I stopped playing like Hearthstone or took a break from Hearthstone. So it was just always, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this, concentrate on this and wait until rotation. Because that was one thing about it. I try not to be that person. I just want to like, listen, if you're having fun still, that's great. You do it. It's just not for me right now. So I'm just gonna take a step back and focus on another thing that I'm having fun on. And I'll see when rotation comes around. Then when the reasons for coming back.
So you're back in the game now. So what are you loving right now? What's going on in the game that's like got you stoked? And let's hype train this up now. Got to swing it back.
Okay, how about that? All right, one thing.
Energy back up to the ceiling.
Boom, rotation. Okay, goodbye, Spreading Plague, Void Lord, Death Knights, Barnes. Okay, all of that. Thank you. Goodbye. Okay, it was nice knowing you. Not really. Thank you. So rotation. I was paying attention to it. And I'm like, okay, Gen and Baku gone too. That was a big thing. It was like, all right. They're showing me some of the game direction they want to go now by doing that. That was a huge thing. Okay. The second thing was the set. I was looking at the spoilers for the set. I was like, all right, with rotation, this set is actually looking really good. The card designs, they look balanced but fun. They just everything about it was like, I want to try these out. I really do. So we're gonna talk about the cards in a little bit too. The game's direction, the way they're going with it, like I said, it looks like one of the biggest things was they're going to make this set and the other two sets connect with each other. And for design. And I'm like, I had a problem with that before not doing that because they try to do something. My example was, hand buff Paladin. They tried doing that, but they only had one set to do it in and it failed because they couldn't flesh it out over 3 sets. They only could flesh it out in 1 set. But now they're like, okay, if there was this archetype that we were trying to do and it didn't quite work in this set, well, maybe there could be cards they have, cards they can change, even though I know they already have planned for, probably next year and everything. But there could be cards like, hey, let's tweak this card before the set. Let's test this card out to try because we really want to push this style. So I was excited about that. I'm like, yes, finally. I'm like, Magic does that. Eternal does that. All these other card games, they do that where they kind of link some of the sets together to build a certain way. And I'm like, thank you, Hearthstone. That was a big thing. The game, they showed me with Gen and Baku going. And then when I heard about that, I was like, okay, I have to take a look back in here. The other reason was I just missed you guys, the community. I was like, I need to hang out with you all and talk to you guys. Cause some of you guys still, I'm like, I just need to hang out with you. You're my family. And then also with a new expansion, when the set rotated out, the new set came in. It's fun to play again. Let's just be honest. It's fun to play again. It's fresh. I mean, rotation will always make it fun to play again, but I think there was just a lot of things that people were glad to see go that were like, okay. And the thing is, the game feels way more, even though we're still new and still like decks are still being played all over and there's crazy things happening. It feels way more balanced. It does. And because there'll be other sets that like, I think it was back last year when rotation happened and I think it was Ungoro that came out. It was just like some of the power levels were just like, oh my word, these are way too powerful. There's just like some things. I feel like every deck is viable that I'm playing right now. I've played we'll talk about classes, but I played 7 out of 9 classes so far, and I've had fun with all of them, and all of them seem viable, like they can take on each other and do things. And I'm just like, this is good. There's catch-up mechanics. There's you don't feel like you can't come back in the game. It's like, it feels really good right now, and I'm having fun again. And that was the reason. So I
sort of still have a problem with the boom.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he is too much like a Death Knight.
Which one is that? Which card are you talking about? Are you talking about
the Dr. Boom hero portrait?
Dr. Boom hero.
Oh, okay, the Dr. Boom hero. Yeah,
I think
so
so
he
too,
kind of feels sometimes not, but sometimes kind of like Jaina did, coming down and then shutting off your, any possibility of winning after that. So I sort of like, that's the only card for me right now that I have a little bit of worries, because it does kind of feel like a Death Knight. But I don't think any of this was accidental, right? Like the fact that this landed, the fact that all of these decks are working, the fact that it's fun again and it seems balanced. I think all of this stuff was being planned for a long time. Mm-hmm. Even though we didn't understand some of the changes they were making, some of the nerfs, some of the cards being rotated out to Hall of Fame and these different things. I think all of that was leading to this. And we're going to see even more to come. Mm-hmm. That shows direction, that shows planning, that shows they're driving the ship in a direction of, we don't want the meta to be stale. We don't want you to come back on the 3rd expansion and be like, I'm playing the exact same decks and I didn't have to change anything.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I mean, it's a good, I've held the opinion for a while. I don't know if I've ever voiced it on the show, but I was thinking about, as a content creator, we kind of track numbers, right? We look at like downloads, we look at how many people are in our community. I'll give you an example. In our Discord community, when I started the show, we were around 400 plus members in the Discord community. So this was about 2 years ago now. And since over the last 6 months, we've lost about a quarter of those people. They just dropped off. Now, to be fair, a lot of those people were not active users, but some of them were people who were regular in the Discord. Mm-hmm. People who are regular contributors, who are regular talking, posting desks, asking questions, just chatting, just hanging out. And those people, some of those people just went away. No explanation. And my only thought was, well, they must just not be playing Hearthstone. They must not be consuming content, because, when the game gets stagnant, the content can get stagnant too, Mm-hmm. And so I thought to myself, if this is what's happening, we're on the decline. If they don't do something, if this next expansion doesn't hit hard and just reverberate positivity about the game going forward, I think the game's going to start to actually just die. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And then we won't have something to talk about.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Hats always, ridiculous Hats always saying, when the tide rises, all boats, go up, Mm-hmm. And or something like that. And it's
a rising tide lifts all
true.
boats.
Yeah, rising tide lifts all boats. It's the reverse is true too. Mm-hmm. Like when the community at large is saying, no, this game isn't fun, or I'm bored with this game, they're not going to listen to content. They're not going to buy stuff. They're not, and then the game's just going to slowly just fizzle out. But so I agree with what you're saying about when they started teasing out cards. Every card was just intriguing and interesting. Mm-hmm. But none of them was like, oh, dude, this card's going to bust the meta. Oh, this card's going to... Mm-hmm. It's kind of a masterstroke. At this point in time, I'm saying I think it's a masterstroke of a set.
There was a bit of an outcry when they saw Resurrect Priest cards, let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, that was hit the panic button and get your pitchforks and torches, ladies and gentlemen. We don't want any more effects.
But if you looked at that card and read what the card does, like just read the text on the card, you see that it's not a good card, okay? It can work.
It's just the PTSD talking.
Yeah, it is.
It was like, Resurrect on a priest card?
And then the people with Vargas, I'm like, I mean, there were some crazy decks like a couple days before with Resurrect Priest with Vargas. Was it Vargas, the Archmage,
Archmage
Archmage
Vargas.
Archmage Vargas,
No, it's Vargoth.
Vargoth. Yeah, Vargoth. Sorry. Vargoth. There you go. Vargoth. That's okay. And so, like, I just let some decks just do some crazy things against me with that card. Because I'm like, I'm just letting you have fun because we're about to get an expansion, a new set in 2 days in rotation. And they're just doing all kinds of crazy things. And I'm just like, okay. And people are like, this is going to break the game. I'm like, in Wild it will, but for Standard it'll be fine. Yeah.
Wild decks that run Vargoth, and they can get it. All Big Priest has to do is stick Vargoth, and he can resurrect him, and then it's just you can't win. They're gonna have to. I'm saying right now, they're gonna have to nerf some stuff in Wild, or Wild's gonna be run by Big Priest again. And
I saw.
Although Rogue is a good counter, like I got my stats, like the monthly report. I had a 79% win rate against Priest,
Nice.
and I played Kingsbane Rogue most of the month. I was just like, Big Priest ain't gonna get nothing on me. They win by accident sometimes, you know what I mean? Or, well, it's like the worst draw in the world, but it's like 79% win rate is disgusting.
That's gross. That is really gross. But yeah, so those are things that brought me back because I was just like, I liked it. Like basically, I liked the direction. I know rotation was happening, but rotation wasn't going to be enough. I wanted to see what direction, like I said, with Gen and Baku going. I'm like, okay, with them linking the sets together, I'm like, all right, I'm liking this. Right. I'm liking how they're going to do things. That way they can build, or there has to be more flex spots with cards, I think, in the future now with them, so they can like either make some things more powerful or not. So I know the set just came out, but I'm excited to see the next set already. That's how I am. I'm just like, I want to see how they're going to bring this all together, all three sets together. So I'm looking forward to the next one and the next one at the end of the year because I'm like, they could do something really cool because the game is a really good game. It really is. The whole idea of it, the design of it, everything. But I'm like, there's some things you could do that could just like make it like the game, and so I think, I think this is moving in the right direction for sure. And that got me excited.
That's a good point because I was thinking of the 3 expansions purely from a lore perspective. I was like, I want the story to continue to be told and move forward instead of having like 3 different, completely, absolutely different expansions like they've been doing up until now. But you're absolutely right. The way that they plan it out, if they link them all together, then that means they're trying to avoid the super powerful first expansion and then second expansion that either has to be crazy powerful or doesn't have much of a impact, and then the third one, the same thing. So if they're planning them all out sequentially, then there's less danger of that happening. Yeah. So they know the biggest exit point for players is stale meta, feeling like there's cards out there that are so out of control that you don't have a chance unless you're playing these specific decks. And so they've learned that, and they're targeting these and kind of going, okay, so how do we make sure that doesn't happen? Yeah. How do we change the way we make each expansion and the cards to target that and make sure that doesn't happen again? And I think the different things that they're doing, well, I mean, they might work. There's only one we will all find out together, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, technically with each set, you have to make it interesting. Otherwise, you're not going to buy it if it's not cool or interesting, whatever. But also, you're going to have to, the power level is going to have to be a little bit more powerful. That's why we have rotation because, we just like set the field even again. And then it's going to go up, but every year rotation. Now they can link it better instead of having a spike that goes way up, then way back down the next one, then way back up. And it's like they can just have a steady incline going up. And then when the rotation of it evens out again, and then they can do it again. It just resets. So they can keep it right around where they want to keep it, the power level, instead of making sets individually. And so they can rotate sets out like all together and bring a whole 3 new engines. So I think that design is going to work a lot better. And I'm excited for that.
It's probably what they did is they probably in months and months ago, they probably said, instead of designing cards for like these compartmentalized sets, which is what it seemed like. Yeah. I'll bet you they made the decision to design it as, instead of 135 card sets, they designed it as 400 card sets-ish, and then release them in increments as they plan it out and figure out, okay, fit the theme and all that stuff. It's probably a big, giant spreadsheet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm looking for that. Now,
that's what I'm
flow
hoping.
Chart.
now, Eve, you mentioned the story. I'm curious because I'm kind of getting back into this. So I'm going to ask you lore perspective. Are they linking the stories together now for all 3 sets, or?
Yes.
They are. Okay, that's cool. Because I like the lore of the game, but I always hate it where it was just like each individual set was a lore moment. It was like highlights. It's like boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, I
think it kind of played off of their original vision for Hearthstone, which was like a campaign. Okay. So you would like go to this dungeon and go against all of these bosses, and then your loot was like the cards, which was like the initial plan for Hearthstone. Okay. And now it's like grown.
That flew over my head because I never got that feeling.
Yeah, well, that's what Blackrock Mountain was. It was a raid. You went
Okay.
into Black Rock Mountain, you defeated the bosses, you got their cards. Like, that was the whole theme of the minions and the legendaries and everything was like a raid in World of Warcraft.
See, like as someone who never played WoW or anything, like I didn't know that. If they, there was like, it wasn't very telling in that sense. If that makes sense, it was just kind of like,
Right.
Oh, they-
for someone who played World of Warcraft, it was like, I fought that actual boss in Black Rock Mountain in World of Warcraft.
yeah,
These were the different things that were around at that time. So it was like nostalgia for those people. But not so much that a person who knew nothing about World of Warcraft couldn't just come in and be like, oh, cool, a dragon. Oh, cool, like these different interesting things. And they wouldn't feel like, I don't know what's going on.
yeah.
They didn't want to alienate new players by giving them too much. But then they also loved all the callbacks because
See, I like
They are
I
from
like
Blizzard.
I like the Frozen Throne because I played Warcraft 3, and so that I can understand that. I can relate to that with the things like, oh yeah, the Lich King and this and this. I thought that was all cool because I played Warcraft 3 and I love that game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I really like if they create the story. I hope they do with like for new players in mind to bring them into this world and kind of connect the stories. Like, hey, we're telling a tale for the next 3 sets, or whatever. And I'm like, I think that'd be kind of cool. So, because I love lore, I love like the history behind the cards, the lore. Just like tell us like give it to me like I've never played the game before. That's what I want. I know some people it's like I just give it to me. Like when they did the. There's like a comic that they did was it for the Lich King? They did like a comic book thing or something like that. It was like a digital comic book. It was like or for like the Death
They
Knights.
had different comics for like the different Death Knights.
Yeah.
Right.
Like kind of how
See,
they became. Death
I wish
like
they-
there was a guy telling a tall tale about the different Death Knights. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love for them to do this because the other game I play, Eternal, which is a card game, they have a monthly like story they release. And you can read it. It kind of like tells you to bring it on. And it's like a story leading up to the next adventure or next set. And it kind of like leads you on. Then like the campaign comes out and completes the story, or the set comes out and completes the story, but it's kind of leading to that. I'm like, that'd be awesome if they could do that every month. Have like a little thing like leading up to it. You're like, oh man, they don't have to reveal anything in it. They could reveal when it gets closer too. That'd be cool too. Like all of a sudden something's revealed through it, But that's just an idea. I think that'd be kind of cool because I love,
Yeah, Magic the Gathering has novels.
yeah. But this would just be cool
They
for
have
like something on their
books about all the
website
characters.
that's digital. Or it'd be crazy. I don't know if they could do it. Put it in their client. That'd be really cool. It's like, hey, shit.
Yeah,
hey.
this
Well,
all
that's
takes
what
man
Eternal
hours.
does.
This all takes work.
Yes.
This all takes people concentrating on things other than making cards and balancing them and
know.
working on the client. So
Okay, this goes back to my
Time and money. Time and money.
Yes, I know. I'm like,
yeah,
this is my thing, and I get frustrated. It's like I know, like Direwolf Digital's a much smaller team, and they're doing this. I'm like, come on, Eternal. I mean, Hearthstone. I'm like, you can do this. I'm like, this is so cool if you did. But I understand resources and everything else. But I'm just like,
yeah.
but I
It's
would
like,
love
what's
it.
the payout?
So my enjoyment, my buying more card packs. That is like.
Well,
True.
here's the thing.
I like buying card packs.
I like the way that they're going, which is
Mhm.
telling the story through Hearthstone and not so much making it a World of Warcraft thing.
Yes,
I like that they
Right.
have a couple of cards that were like, okay, I know that's a character from World of Warcraft, but most of it is they're calling back to things that they've already done, like Doctor Boom and Hagatha and Rafam are Hearthstone characters that Hearthstone people can recognize without ever playing World of Warcraft. And then the plan that they have to move the story through all 3 expansions, they said, and this was an idea I had before they announced it, that the second expansion is going to be more about the defenders. Because right now it's about the evil guys attacking Dalaran, and the second expansion is going to be more about the defenders of Dalaran and who they are and their defenses. So that's super cool. And then whatever the third one is going to be,
It's probably the
maybe
resolution
Dalaran
of-
falls down
the
out
epic
of the
battle. I don't
sky.
know. That'd be
and
crashes into the earth.
it'd be great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Into the Azeroth, rather.
But I definitely like how they're doing that because it's like the villains and the defenders. So I'm like, oh, I want to know who the defenders are. This is cool. Like, are you going to bring like Tyrion or I can't remember like some of the other ones. My mind is
well,
blanking.
it's
like who are the
it
defenders
tells
going
a
to?
clear story, right? Each of the cards that they made for the set tell a clear story. It's you're either part of the evil side who's attacking or you're part of the good side who's defending. And that's easy for people to understand without having to have a background in World of Warcraft.
It is.
So
Yeah.
You can get
Smart.
past your yes.
So let's transition into kind of like what decks we're seeing on the ladder in terms of like in terms, it'd probably be easiest if we just kind of went by class. Like, all right, like let's kick it off. All right, Eve, just for you, Druid.
Great. I'm playing Druid. Everybody gasp.
So Eve, like Druid seems fresh and new again, and I played a fair amount of Druid myself this week. What have you been playing on Druid? Like, what do you like about it? What's going on with that?
The tokens. Like, let's call back to Magic the Gathering. My favorite deck ever was a White Kithkin deck, which is tokens, and each time you put something down, it makes something else stronger, and then it just gets out of control. They keep buffing each other, making each other stronger. And so that was Zoo, which is, for me, incredibly aggro, this Druid that I've been playing. The first 3 games that I played, thank you, Ridiculous Hat, for the list, I won by turn 6.
Mm-hmm.
It was put a bunch of tokens out, buff them up, hit my opponent in the face, and win. So it's like, okay, I can play Druid.
Yes. Soul of the Forest is annoying, but it's cool. I'm glad that card is there. So then when
Soul of a Forest makes the deck viable
it
because
is.
if you can just get board cleared every single turn, it's not fun.
I barely play Soul of the Forest. Here, let me tell you the ones that are my favorite that are just like crazy that you might not even think are good. Microtech Controller. I love this. Battlecry summon 2 1/1 microbots for 3 mana. So you get 3 minions for 3 mana. And then, of course, you're going to hit it with Blessing of the Ancients twice. Yes.
It's so nice not
She's
having Defile in the meta.
Little gnome.
She's a gnome. Yeah.
What's the one that summons the Dryads? That card is really busted.
Dreamway Guardians. Yeah, that's like my turn 2, turn 1 if I have a coin. Just get those things out. They are tough.
The Druid Fireflies. So,
yes.
There you go.
Basically.
But it's a spell,
better.
So...
And you know what's great about that deck? You know what's great about that deck? Is it's budget friendly.
It is.
You do not have to have legendaries to play that deck.
Yes.
You can play Cenarius if you want to, but that might just be too slow.
Yeah, you don't have to put a single legendary in if you don't want. Archmage Vargoth works very well because if you play him and then you play like a Blessing of the Ancients, he'll cast it again at the end of the turn. Or if you play him and then play Dreamway Guardians, you'll cast it again at the end of the turn. Like it's really good. I have a Portal Keeper.
Yes.
Actually, 2 of them in my deck.
That card.
What's a Portal Keeper? What's that card?
Battlecry, shuffle 3 portals into your deck. When drawn, summon a 2/2 demon with Rush.
All right.
You just like randomly get demons that come out of your deck.
I like this.
Well, I see that's just such a different list than I've been playing. I was just playing like a little more standard list. I'm like, all right, what's cheap minions? What's stuff that's kind of sticky? What generates minions? You know, Whispering Woods is good again. I've been running like a Treant list. You know, the one like the Forbidden Apple or the Poison Apple or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like one of the things,
I don't know if that one's fast enough for me.
It may not be. It's probably not fast enough because it doesn't build your board, but it builds your hand.
Yeah.
Which, when you're trying to drop Whispering Woods and you throw 3 more cards in your hand, that's 3 more wisps you can put down.
Yes.
So it's a little slow, but Treants are fun. So
Landscaping is awesome. That's key for that deck. I'll tell you something I crafted 2 of and put in that I haven't been seeing anybody else run. Tree Speaker.
Tree Speaker. Please tell me what that card does.
Oh, yeah. Tree Speaker.
Battlecry, transform your Treants into 5/5 Ancients.
Oh, okay. You need to send me this list because
boy,
you need
it's 5 mana. But if somebody was dumb enough to leave you like just 2 Treants, that just
because it's a 4/4, right? That body Tree Speaker is an epic. It's a 4/4.
Yep.
So then you have a 4/4 and 2 5/5s, and they're like, oh.
They're like,
and you can win. You can just win if you have Savage Roar or anything like that. So I think Druid has taken a different form. Druid is not the big Druid. It's not the control-y combo Druid that we've been used to. I'm sure that exists in Wild. It exists in Spades.
Yeah,
to tell you
it
what.
doesn't have insane armor gain, and so it can
armor gain.
It can out armor Warrior. I was like,
that's dumb. That's dumb.
I like how
late game. I have 2 Forest's Aid, right? Which is twin spell, summon 5 2/2 Treants. So I just need a couple of those to live, and then I turn them into 5/5s.
Oh no, you become a Druid player. What has happened?
I'm like, please, just
you know
like
a set's good when you
survive. You can't take them all.
like Eve's like a druid hater, like
Yes.
bend branches in the form of swastika and like give it to her.
What?
Like,
No,
a druid or something.
wow.
That's a little extreme.
I was
I don't
not
know.
expecting.
But you've been
Holy
so
moly.
I hate druids so much.
Burn
I'm
it
just
to the
gonna dust
ground,
my druid
yes.
cards. You've been so vehement of it. It's like, dang. It's like,
I mean,
don't be hating on the druids. So
People are
much.
trying to give
They
you
do
the
anything to you.
People are trying to give you the name like Druid Duster for your PSN name and everything else. I saw that. That was funny. That was
Yes.
good.
I thought
Oh,
that was
they
hilarious.
were because I
Yes.
saw you or looking for that. But yeah, so
Story,
I think
story for you people who were wondering what the Twitter thing was about this week. I made my PlayStation Network name back in 2008. And I didn't realize that I was putting my actual name into the part. Like I thought later on was going to be the option to put in your nickname, but I put my actual full name in, and that's been my name on PlayStation Network for all of this time. And I've wanted them to give you an option to change your username forever, so I don't just give my actual real name to all the peoples on the internet. And finally, last week, they gave you the option to change it once for free, and then if you want to change it again, it's a paid thing. And there's this big disclaimer that's like, okay, by the way, if you do this, you might make invalid a whole bunch of games that you own. If you change your PlayStation Network name, just putting it out there, you might lose saves, you might lose access
That's crazy
to online
because
games.
I remember
That's
changed.
just dumb.
I changed my
Well,
name.
this is why they haven't done it for such a long time, is because of the way it's integrated into a whole bunch of games. They
That's
just had to put that
crazy.
warning out there. And Destiny came right out and was like, don't worry, if you change your name, you're not going to make your game invalid. So I was like, oh, that's the only one I really care about anyway. And immediately changed my name.
Wow. Well, it's like I'm probably gonna change mine because mine's stupid. But anyway. Okay. Go back to Hearthstone. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so that's kind of where Druid is, at least at the moment. That's what I'm seeing. Anybody playing Shaman?
I played a little Murloc Shaman because you should.
Murloc Shaman is surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing I wanted to say before we move on from
What?
Druid. Okay, so
Okay. Eve wants to talk more.
Oh,
Druid.
go ahead,
The
Eve.
world is
I just
indeed
wanted to
coming
make this
an end.
confession to the world. I had to craft Power of the Wild.
Nice.
I am
Savage. No, I had Savage Roar because that's a basic. What
It's
else did I have to craft?
uncraftable, yeah.
I'm so
I had
glad
to
I'm
craft
on this
Soul
episode.
of the Forest.
Well, there's just what they're commons, right? Soul of the Force is common, right?
That's what I'm saying. I had dusted every single one of my Druid cards, so I had to craft commons before I could play this new deck.
Terminate with extreme prejudice. I mean, that's just terrible.
Oh man.
I didn't realize you didn't even have those cards.
No,
That's crazy.
that's how bad I
That's-
got. And
that's
that's even
crazy.
bad because I think if you dust those, you get 5 dust for commons or something
So
ridiculous.
Eve, what are the chances you could hit Legend with this deck? I mean, that would just be a feather in my cap. Is this possible? Is this a thing? Can you
Is
hit
this
Legend
something
in
that I
Standard?
should try to go for? Is this what you're saying? Hit
Well,
Legend
if you like
with
the deck, if it's your jam, I was talking to StarCraft 2 Forever online. He's already at Legend, which is shocking to me. It blows me away. He said he hit it before rotation, which is still crazy because he did it in a week. But I said, what's good right now? And he's like, yeah, Token Druid seems unbeatable right now. And I'm like,
I need his list. I don't feel like mine is perfect. There's definitely some times when I have a bunch
There's
of
a lot of
spells
room
in my
in it.
hands and I can't play anything or do anything until I
Right.
have minions. But I really like it. I'm enjoying it a lot, just the way that it plays. And I've been waiting for a Druid deck like this for a long time because a lot of the different decks that were really good for Druid, I just didn't like. I didn't enjoy the way that they played. It wasn't my jam. So I finally found something that plays the way I like to play. And so, yeah, I think if it's good
proactive.
enough against the meta, and it's probably going to go through some more changes and get, evened out.
I'll be
I
honest.
definitely think.
I'll be honest. I was playing Token Druid, and I was thinking okay, I can't play too many minions because Spreading Plague or Void. I was like, wait,
You're
wait.
brainwashed.
I was brainwashed. I was like, wait, it's not here. So I'm like, flood the board. There's no Defile. There's
yes, file that. I was up against a warlock and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to count. And then I was like, no, wait, I don't have to count the health of my minions and make sure they don't line up because defile doesn't exist anymore. And if
You know
they
what does
do 3
exist?
damage to everything, which Hellfire's out there right now, they're still doing damage to their own face, which helps me in the long run. So there.
you know what does exist though is Warpath. Warpath is still a thing.
Yes.
Warpath is just like a more expensive defile
Yeah.
that I forget about.
Yes. I'm
Dang, Warpath again.
But I'm just
I'm
glad-
good if they don't have
Yeah.
Warpath. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Shoot.
I'm
They
just
only have
glad
2 of them
Warrior
and 2
has that.
Brawl, and once they're done, 2 Brawl
They need
and 2 Warpath, I'm like, now you're out of juice. What are
No,
you
no
gonna
reckless
do?
flurry.
Ah,
No reckless
yes.
flurry.
So good.
That's good.
Funny story, real
Scoreboard
quick. I went to a pre-release, and it was actually with the people from Hero Power, so it was kind of cool. But
That's cool.
I was sitting there. I was playing Shaman against a guy named Matt in the store, and I was like, I'm like, okay, I can do this and hit my Hero Power. I'll be good. I forgot I wasn't playing even Shaman, so my Hero Power still cost 2 instead of 1, and so I miscalculated. I played a minion, then I was like, I went to hit my Hero Power, and I'm like, this is not even Shaman. He just started laughing at me. I'm like, yeah, I totally misplayed that one. I wasn't thinking about
Deeply
that.
ingrained.
It was just, it was ingrained, like, just to, like, do this and thing. I was like, yeah, I can't do that anymore. I'm like, okay, your turn. I was like, I lost this game.
Okay, so in terms of warrior, because we
Yeah.
kind of touched on it,
Yes.
is the bomb warrior like with the explosives and put the bombs in your deck? Is that deck actually good?
Yes.
I played it and I think it's good, and I'm not sure because there's still a lot of. I think people are trying to refine it,
It's,
but I think yesterday that's all I saw on ladder was just warrior after warrior after warrior. So I'm not sure. What do
Here's
you
the
guys
thing.
think?
You remember when Face Hunter was a thing?
Yeah.
And people kept saying that it wasn't a good deck. Like it was you didn't have to have any skill to play it. You just
Sure.
needed to put your minions on the board and hit face. That's what this deck is. It doesn't require a whole lot of carefully calculated choices. If you have the cards, you play them.
Are you talking
So I
about
think
for
that's
warrior?
yes. I think that's why it appeals to people because it's like to me, it's like Face Hunter. You play the cards that you have, and you either win or you don't.
I agree with you. It's a simpler deck to play for a control deck. I mean, and that's not really control. It's kind of like a mid-range deck, I would say. And there's control because you have brawl and stuff like that. But yeah, I've seen some of it on ladder, but it's beatable. It's not.
It's very beatable.
It's not-
I've crushed it with Token Druid.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I saw it was all over ladder, so I switched to Token Druid and gained like a whole rank, like very simply because it can't. It's a fun deck. Like it's a fun deck. I think people just like playing mechs too, and so there's mechs in it and everything. Mechs are just cool, so you want to play them. But like, and there's synergies with it, and of course we still have one of the most powerful cards with the boom card, the hero card,
The Death Knight.
Death Knight,
Oh,
yeah.
Dr. Boom, Mad Genius.
Yeah, it's the Death Knight. So you still have that in there. It makes it really good once you get past. If you play that on turn 7 to get past that, all your mechs are just like removals.
Well,
and
in the mirror, I've noticed because I played a bunch of mirror like yesterday, or the day before. Whoever wins is kind of the person who gets that card first.
Mhm.
And that when I started thinking, I'm like, ooh, no, I don't want to play a deck where I have to rely on a card. If I draw it, I win. If I don't draw it, I lose. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I actually think it's weaker than it is. I've seen pros tweet out, it's like, when are people going to figure out they call it bomb warrior? When are they going to figure out that it's just warrior? It's not the bombs that are winning you the game. It's warrior, just as a class. So
I feel
think
like
Dragon
this
Warrior has
is
potential,
the
more potential than
disdain of pros for decks that they don't find challenging enough for themselves. Like they
Oh, you
said
think
all
so?
these things about Face Hunter, and I don't think they're actually perfectly correct on that.
and Firebat goes and wins the world championship with Face Hunter,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's kind of like
I mean, we can say what we want about it, but it's not. It's like plebeian. You have to have that deck that you just kind of that's that.
You know-
one,
You know what though? I was thinking about I think this is true for every deck, but I think that we used to use this analogy with certain types of musical instruments. Like there's a certain threshold that everybody can hit very quickly with a musical instrument, and I think a Hearthstone deck is the same thing. Everybody can hit this X threshold really fast, and it makes you feel like you can do it well. But then there's this percentage above that threshold that the time, the experience, and your just intellectual capacity fill in that gap to where it makes you that 5 or 10% makes you just able to pilot it better than anybody else, and you'll get a much higher win rate because you've well exceeded that threshold. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys agree or disagree.
yeah.
No, this makes so much sense to me that you can take warriors to a certain level. And then once you get to high legend, all the legend players are going, this is a nothing deck. Well, sure, that's fine. it cannot perform very well up at the very high levels, but it'll still get you to legend.
Yeah.
It'll still beat a whole bunch of other things out there.
I remember when Pirate Warrior was, everyone's like, oh, that's an easy deck to take a legend and everything. But it's like, no, it's you, once you learn it in and outs of that deck, you learn how to squeak points out. And that you win games you should not win because you know how to play it. You take it to that small little percentage where it's like, I know this deck so well. I know every card in my deck. I know every card in my opponent's deck. I know I have to what order to play in, when I need to swing to go for face. Or when I need to trade. That was a big thing because there was Fiery War Axe and there was the what's the 5/2 weapon? The I can't remember it. It's been such a while since.
I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about.
It's the 5/2 weapon. Anyway, but you have to know when to trade face, when to trade or when to go face. And that was a huge thing with that because there would be some games like Mirrors and other aggro decks, and there was Murlocs at the time.
Arcanite Reaper.
There you go. So with this Warrior deck, I think they're saying it's simple and it's like, I don't know what the problem is with it, honestly. I don't know why people are complaining.
Well,
it's
here's
a fun
the thing.
deck. It's just,
there's not a lot of decks running heal.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of decks that are like spending cards to run heal spells.
Yeah.
So you get a certain amount of bombs in that deck and people get bad luck and pull them, you die. I've had things where like I was about to destroy my opponent because I had so many minions and they were all bumped up. And then I took like 3 bombs to the face. I was like, well, I guess that's it. Yeah. I'm dead.
Well, I think it's a cool strategy because they're playing a trade-off with cards and everything else to put bombs in your deck and too, so it's a little bit slower. So it's just, and I think honestly that you'll start seeing actually a heal druid deck start popping up to combat this more. I've already seen some lists, some pros are making decent heal druid lists, and I think definitely next set when the defenders come out, I'll think you see a lot more heal cards because I feel like more on the villain thing is about taking damage to gain advantage,
defending, armor,
and then,
buffing,
healing, so you'll see it balance out.
Yeah.
So I think you definitely will see heal druid and maybe a little bit, not too much, but maybe a little bit more armor game for Warrior.
That also makes sense to me because there's a bunch of like themey druid cards right now that are like do this if you've healed, but there's not really enough of a backbone to support it. So it makes more sense that they're going to be adding more cards to kind of flesh that out in the next set for the defenders.
Which is nice because they didn't have to throw it all in one set. They can like, hey, next couple sets we want this to be a thing and want this. So give it time, people. Give it time. There's plenty of decks that counter things. The
way that I beat Warrior right now is I just go even more aggro than usual, and that's how I like to play anyway. So
I was playing some Mage today and feasting on Bomb Warrior, so I was like okay with that.
All right, Mage. Let's talk about Mage. So Navalis, you brought it up, so you get to talk about it. What have you been seeing? What have you been enjoying about Mage right now?
Mage. I've been playing 2 decks today. One is the mech hunter, kind of the mech death rattle hunter that's been going around with the Oblivitron and everything. So that's a cool one. But the one I kind of started playing this evening was APX Void's Giant Dragon Mage. All right. And this one has, for its top end, has the Caligos, but also has 2 Mountain Giant in it. And it has, what's really cool, it has Conjuring Calling, and it has the Mountain Giant. So if you can get a Mountain Giant on turn 4, and the next turn play Conjuring on it, where it destroys it and it brings out 2 more. Like
that's dumb.
I was playing against a Bomb Warrior and I played back-to-back Giants, and the turn went, he did everything he could because he knew like if he plays a Conjuring on, so he threw all his resources at it to kill both of them. I'm like, that's fine because I won, with other things later on in the game, namely the combo of Khadgar with Power of Creation. That's always a little fun combo. And
remind us what Khadgar does.
Stupid, dude.
Oh, I had someone against me. Okay, he played Khadgar, played Power of Creation, and what was the card? It's not. How do you pronounce this card? It's not Karn. It's the 4/5 Death Rattle summon. Cairn. There you go.
Cairn.
Bloodhoof. Yeah.
He summoned 4 of those.
So Khadgar, your cards that summon minions summon twice as many.
So he played Power Creation and got Cairn. Well, he got 4 of those with Death Rattle. And I'm like, yeah, that's good game. I'm like, that was a good card.
I had that happen to me, except it's that 4/2 with Divine Shield that has charge. It's a 6 cost. What is it? It's not Defender of Argus. It's Argent. No, not Argent Defender. Is it Argent Defender? Argent something.
Yes.
But he had 16 damage on the board out of nowhere. It was like, What?
Yeah. What?
I ain't doing nothing to that. I was like, GG, I'm
What?
out.
But how much board clear is that mage running?
Okay, this is kind of interesting. Okay, because there's a couple things I want to talk about this because I kind of like we're seeing lots of weapons right now. Okay, lots of weapons. He's running two.
Everyone's running oozes.
Probably this is overkill, but he's running two the oozes there, and he's also running Harrison Jones in it. So 3 weapon removals.
That is overkill.
That is overkill. But
APX boys know what he's doing with Mage. So
Yes.
let's take his.
yes, and then there's only 4 spells in it. Those are Power Creation and 6 spells. 2 Book of Specters, 2 Conjurer's Calling, and 2 Power of Creation. So that kind of like you're gonna guarantee to just for 2 you're drawn 3, which is most of the time, which is really, really good. But you have like some Fury Protector, a lot of taunts. You have the Scale Worm. You have, which has been really good, is I didn't even know this card. It was Dragon Ball Scorcher. It's what is it? It's a 5 cost, 3/6 that deals
It does
1 damage
to the enemy
Yeah.
minions.
to everything. And then another
Played that
really,
in the Dragon Warrior last expansion.
yeah. I mean, you got Crowd Roaster, which is a good card. You know, it's the dragon that does 7 damage to something. But the one I liked was it has also Rotten Apple Bomb in it. That's a for healing there.
That's a good one.
But
This
Safeguard.
is sounding really familiar.
Yeah, the
What is it?
he runs 1 Safeguard in it, which is the 6 costing 4/5 taunt that when
4 or
it
5 taunt. Yeah.
when it dies, it summons a safe, which is a 0/5 for a
Yeah.
taunt. So it's kind of like that card's been surprisingly good against like Token Druid
Yeah.
and other things. Just the biggest weakness is deck is there's no board clears in this deck. Like if Token Druid gets Soul of the Forest down, you're just like, well. But the thing is, this deck can be actually proactive, and if it can actually take out your enemy pretty quickly too, or your opponent.
Well-
So I've had fun with this deck. It's actually pretty good. And
Did you guys see that our good buddy Rob May, he went 11-3 in the Brawlocceum?
oh
with
yeah,
that
he
deck.
he did with this deck, I believe. I think it was
Yeah,
maybe yeah.
Yeah.
So go check that
So,
out and everything.
Shout out to
because-
him on that one.
So-
Rob,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, boo boo, you're playing Hearthstone again, buddy. Just saying.
He's back too. He's back too.
He's back too. I should have him on the show.
Oh, man.
Maybe we will
Yes.
get our good buddy back.
But I don't think this
Anyways.
list is refined or anything, but I think it's definitely has the right key pieces in it. So just kind of
Right.
pay attention to what APX Void
Well, I
is
don't-
doing. But
I don't understand why Calicos is in it, because unless you want to just play like Power Creation at the end of your turn, or what is that the one that basically summons the 2 6-drops.
yeah,
you know,
well, yeah,
that's-
Caligos, you just play you discover a spell. Sometimes you get Pyroblast, sometimes you get other things.
Mhm.
Also, another good thing is that you're playing the Fire Tree Witch Doctor. If you're holding a dragon, discover a spell. And that's been really good too. I've gotten Blizzard off of it to take out a Token Druid, so that's like that was fun. And so there's like other
Yeah, I got
things. It
Blizzard twice and Flame Striked twice.
yeah, it reminds me
Still
of
one, so.
yes, it reminds me of like not kind of like a Draconoid Operative, kind of like that, but smaller, and it's like for your class too. And so
Yeah.
you can do things like that, and it's just a good
really
minion
fun.
too. So if you're playing Dragons Mage is awesome. So go for it.
Yeah, Dragon's Mage is all I could think of is like Medivh riding Caligos. It's
Yes.
just like the art in my head.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the next
You,
class.
Grant.
So
What are you playing, Grant?
what Grant is playing is Rogue.
Okay.
Grant likes Rogue.
Ooh, what rogue are you playing?
Well, I went really hard into
oranges,
like
right?
I was playing Orange's Rogue with you call it the Waggle Pick Rogue.
Yes,
that
I
deck's-
played that.
That deck is very good. It's a very aggro tempo rogue. Rogue seems very happy right now in 2 versions. One, I noticed it's either a tempo list. In Wild, I'm playing you're gonna hate me for it. I'm playing an odd rogue, and the
would
evil
I hate you?
lackey.
It's a good deck.
The evil not the lackey. The 1/5 that gives you
Miscreant?
lackeys. Evil miscreant. That card is dope. All the enablers, the combo enablers, plus it like. In terms of it, a lot of times gives you lackeys that summons a 2-cost minion, so you can build a board and maintain tempo like crazy. So I was at rank 3 when the expansion dropped, and I've dropped down to 5 because I've just been experimenting with everything. But I play a lot of Rogue. Rogue's my jam. That's where I probably play my best Hearthstone. Followed probably closely by Mage and Paladin. But like Rogue is got some sweet stuff. I think I have all the rogue cards because I just do that because I don't care because Valera is my waifu. But
So are you using Underbelly Fence?
Yes, I use it in the Waggle Pick deck. That card's really good. Especially when you can bounce it. Because you bounce it, you just take a guy out, bounce it because it's a 3/4 body, and a 3/4 body can do a lot of work.
Okay, I'm a rogue noob, but explain to me, like, I kept having trouble not being able to use it fully because I didn't have cards from another class in my hand.
You just have to mulligan, right? And that's the thing is, like, you have to build, the list has to, you don't always have to get it, like, that's the hard part about rogue is sometimes, like, for example, SI7 agent, you think, I really only want to use this when I can combo off and get that 2 damage. Well, sometimes you just got to play a body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with Underbelly Fence, you keep it in your hand. It's a 2-drop 2/3. 2-drop 2/3 can trade quite a few times in the current meta. It can take out tokens. It can do work for you. And if you bounce it back, like if you get the Waggle Pick, you bounce it back. A lot of times you already have something in your hand. So you start clearing minions or going face, and now you have a 3/4 that charges or rushes and stuff like that. And it's a card that can be situationally, it's decent without its text, and situationally it's fantastic. So I like it a lot. The Togwaggle Pick, like when Orange posted his list, I was like, how does this deck win? Because it's not impressive. It is not impressive to look at. There's nothing like, oh boy, there's this combo. Oh boy, there's these big giant minions. Oh boy, Togwaggle, he's going to do stuff. It looks like, oh, my daughter could have made this list. So I got to thinking about it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play this. I'm going to see what's going on. Sure enough, it's good. It's good if you know how to play tempo. So if you know how to play Rogue, which I've heard Orange say in interviews, like he loves Rogue. He loves potential for Rogue and what it can do. And so I'm pretty sure he's a master player, but I think he probably is particularly good at Rogue. And that kind of proves it to me. It's like, yeah, he took what I would think is a non-impressive list, but once you get into it, you say, aha, this is how this deck works. If you know how to play tempo decks, you'll do fine. Just think of it like a tempo.
I really hope they push Rogue, kind of like keep it tempo because it's always kind of been its thing, but also take it either like a lackey route with it and a burgle,
I like
the burgle route, like just like the burgle with getting the cards from the opponents, or the lackey route, just kind of like so you have like kind of like you can go in that direction. That I think they're trying to go in that direction, and I hope they do because I actually like it. So
it's steal your
It's got
stuff.
so many things going on. It's got pirates.
Mm-hmm.
It's got weapons.
Mm-hmm.
It's got discover things from another class. It's got lackeys. I mean, like, usually if you have a deck that has so many different things going on, it doesn't work because you need to have like a more clear vision and cards that all synergize together. But for some reason in Rogue, it works.
Rogue.
Go ahead.
Man, Rogue just can do stuff like, especially the rogues that start stealing your stuff. Like I had a guy on the fence the other day. I was like, man, you're toast. And then he stole the right cards, and it was like, wait, but man, now I can't win. You can't pull that card. You're supposed to get really good cards, that will totally upend my game, and that they do. But that's what Rogue does. Rogue can just flip games. Like I played against a friend, did a friend request today, and no, I was not playing against a friend. I was playing some dude in Wild that had what's the new legendary that like when you draw cards. You draw copies of them, and it puts copies of minions down. And they have rush. That
Balrog
legendary
or something. It's a demon in
It's a
Warlock,
demon?
isn't it?
Yeah.
And Bro was doing some insane stuff. Like his deck was like flying all over the place, and Void Lords were coming out and dying. And I mean, in like
It was
Cold
just
Light
like-
Oracles was showing up and sucked back in the hand, and it was like, what is going on? And I just played my Rogue game. I'm like, okay. I ended up getting through 3 Void Lords and still winning.
Bell
With the
Lord,
tempo
Beetrug. Betrug, Beetrug, yeah.
However
Yeah.
you say it. But
That's
my God.
crazy. That's
I
crazy.
friended him like, bro, this deck is nutty. What are you playing? Is this your list? And he's like, yeah, it's a work in progress. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I'm gonna ask him later, like if I can have it because I wanna like
Ooh.
show the world that deck.
If you get the list, I'm gonna have to ask you for it because I just want to see this. I'm like, that sounds so messed
Well,
up.
what he did is he did Beetrug, and then he did the portal that the swaps your hand out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So he swapped his whole hand out, and it drew
and
like
then
8
drew
cards.
his whole hand.
And it put all these minions,
Oh
and they
my
were
God.
flying in and out. This is like, it was bonkers.
That is awesome.
I was loving just watching it happen. I didn't even, at some point in time, I stopped caring about winning. I was like, okay, I think I could still win this, but I don't even care. This is just so neat. You know, it's so
I went up
ingenious.
against a warlock like that. He has that card that you draw 3 cards, and at the end of the turn, you have to discard them.
Yeah, Solarium or
But
something.
then
Yeah.
he played the Mulligan thing and put them all back into his deck, so he didn't have to
Nice.
discard them, and he pulled that many cards, and it was just like, yeah.
That's a pretty sweet
Looks
combo.
fun. Wanna play.
You know, one row card that I'm still like, I need to learn to play around. That's the new one, Vendetta. Because like
Vendetta is a
Ah,
good card.
it is a good card. Because I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm on board. I got this. And then like a Vendetta comes down. I'm like, yeah, you still have 4 or 5 mana. I'm like, yeah, totally forgot about that card.
Vendetta
It's like-
good. Also Shadow Step and Backstab and all the
Yes.
stuff that they can already do.
Oh, I was playing around that stuff, just not Vendetta. And that kind of like, and then he had Backstab and all that with it. I'm like, yeah, okay, you got me. You cleared
I'm
my
glad
board.
to see that so far, most of our predictions on what cards would be good were dead on. Like we
Yeah.
said, Vendetta was good. Like, oh, Vendetta
Yeah.
is going to be good, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we were just touching on Warlock. So has anybody seen like I've been seeing nutty stuff with Warlock, you know, like what I just mentioned, and there's another one in Wild. There's Darkest Hour,
Mhm.
where they've been building lists where you flood the board with imps and then like use Blood Bloom to take health instead of mana. Blood Bloom for 2, Darkest Hour takes 6 health, and all of a sudden you have a Ragnaros, a Lich King, a Void Lord, and whatever other shenanigans you want to have on the board all at once. Like, and you can do it by like turn 6.
It's crazy stuff.
It's nutty crap.
I saw that card Darkest Hour and I'm like, someone's gonna break this. I'm like, within like a couple days, because I'm like, this is like, I was like, that's the top 5 epic for me because I picked that. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be the top 5 of epics because this is gonna do some bonker things. Someone's gonna figure it out.
Well,
But-
you know, it's funny though, because there's a major drawback with that card. Like, I played that deck a couple times, and the first game I won the game by turn 5 with like all these giant minions in my deck, and then I proceeded to lose the next 3. In one-on-one game, because you get all these imps out, and if you're playing against a board that can clear it, all these imps are dying, right? These 1/1s. And so I was playing a game, and I was in it. It was fine until I was like, okay, I just gotta get one solid demon out of Blood Reaver Gul'dan. And guess what I got? I got a board full of imps. And
Oh.
my opponent's like, well played, and I was just like, fudge.
Yeah, Jumbo
So-
Imp is what I mean. I'm sorry,
Jumbo
but it
Imp's
doesn't
stupid.
zoo as well as Druid is zooing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Druid's the
Druid
best.
is doing better than Warlock, so Warlock has got to do something else fun and interesting in this.
Yeah.
meta.
Okay,
Let me
so
tell
here's
you.
a deck that I think
Yeah.
zoo's better than everybody right now.
Mhm.
Is I think Secret Paladin is actually a good deck. So we'll transition to Paladin.
In
'cause I said
Wild?
that. No.
Real
in
quick,
Standard.
before we transition,
Go ahead.
Archvillain Rathon. That is a cool card.
That
That
card's
legendary.
dope. I love
Yes,
that card
for
a lot.
like that card in the Magic Carpet. Okay, like that is like that's the
Wait,
one.
what does Magic Carpet do again?
It is
Magic
the
Carpet's good.
it is the 3 mana 1/6 that whenever you play a 1-cost minion, give it +1 attack and rush. So it's a 3-cost 1/6 minion,
Mm-hmm.
and then every time you play a 1-cost minion, give it +1 attack and rush.
Here's my problem. I've been seeing solid warrior. I finally hit
Mhm.
rank 10 because I had like gotten down into the double digits, and it was just like solid warrior.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't seen all these fun, cool decks that you guys are talking
Yeah.
about and played against them because it's just been warrior after warrior after warrior.
I had
Well-
one person.
when I
play
get up
Magic-
to like rank 5, am I going to see interesting decks, you guys?
Yes.
I'm at rank 8. I'm seeing interesting decks right now.
I'm at rank 9, and I'm seeing interesting stuff. So
Okay,
You're
so
there,
I
you're
can
there.
get past the warrior is what you're saying to me.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
eventually the warrior.
Well,
Yeah,
I
go.
think what that was is when they did the reveal stream, because I got on that hype train, I'm like, oh, dude, Bomb Warrior is going to be just awesome to play. That looks
I
so
wanted
fun, and
to
that was the
try
first thing
it.
I wanted to play. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the hotness.
It's true.
It was the hotness. Everyone.
it was
wanted
the hotness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay,
All right.
so Paladin.
Mhm.
Okay,
So
tell me.
Paladin,
what? Secret
Paladin,
Paladin? What?
I actually think is good, and I think there's what's the new secret? It's the one that like when one of your minions is attacked, or no, when you cast a spell, when your opponent casts the spell, your minions get like a big giant +2 buff.
Oh yeah, never surrender.
Never surrender, and you
Never
can't
surrender.
kill their dudes. So then they have the secrets that like you have Noble Sack, which get down as we call it, and then you have the one that puts a divine shield
Auto
on a
defense matrix.
minion.
If you have never surrender out, they play Warpath. You just laugh.
Grant, this is one of the paladin recipes.
But it's pretty good though. Like
I'm just
when I
saying,
was
like
playing-
you might have been playing against some whiz bangs.
You can no. I saw the same deck enough where it seems pretty good, and I thought to myself, okay, I get it. It makes sense. What you've done is you get some reasonable minions, and then you jump these secrets. Oh, but what's that card? It's Sunreaver
Spy?
Sunreaver Spy. Whoa!
If you control a secret, gain +1/+1.
turn 1 defense matrix, turn 2 spy. Now they have a 3/4 that you can't get rid of.
That's a good card.
And that card does work and so if they can start building a board, they can build a board of like 3 or 4 minions, and because you can't kill them, or they resurrect, or they get blocked with a shield, or Noble Sack gets in the way. If you have a board centric deck, it's really hard to deal with. And so like it's only a matter of time before I think a new version of a Secret Paladin deck is going to come out and it's going to be good.
Their
I wanted to
top
play
end
it. I
is
haven't played
Leroy.
it.
Yeah,
Was that?
True Silver Blessing, True Silver Leroy. That's just pure
so
like
Commander
beat your
Rissa
face.
is only 3 mana, and she is your secrets trigger twice. Like this is a very fast, very low mana aggressive deck.
Right.
Ooh, I like
It's
this deck.
surprisingly good. I didn't think it was good. I'm like, oh, Secret Paladin, I'm going to roll you. And it was like, nope. Well, that felt bad. Well, play
is
another game. Well, another
interesting.
Secret Paladin, different player. Nope. And I thought, oh, a streamer has to be using this. But it seems viable. Like it could actually be a legit deck. I'm curious to see how it would work with like a, Mysterious Challenger or something like that. And plus, what's that card that gives you the huge buff? It's
Blessing of Kings.
Blessing of Kings. Nah, the secret that does it when you kill a minion. Revenge.
Revenge. There we go.
So yeah, I mean, Paladin is interesting. I've not seen any Control Paladin. I've not seen any Dragon Paladin. I've not seen any Tokeny Paladin because I don't think that's where that they wanted that deck to go. I have not seen any Paladin in Wild. That's the interesting thing. I'm not seeing Paladin in Wild very much at all. And that's
here's my
interesting.
thought is like they're the ones who made the decks, right? They're the ones who made the cards, I mean. So when they first bring an expansion out, I totally look at the new deck recipes just to get an idea of something that they think will be competitive or they think is interesting and kind of like build off that and take it. Because they're getting better and better. Like they used to be
True story.
laughable decks that were in those recipes, and now they're like more and more competitive, more and more, good. So
Thanks,
that's
Jockey.
like, thanks, Jockey. There's like, that's straight out of the deck recipes. If you want to take a look at like the basic, what he was talking about, just press Sunreaver's Secrets is what it's called in the Paladin deck recipes.
Cool. Let's keep going because we're going long here, guys. Let's see we're at an hour and 30. Let's talk about Hunter. Cricket.
Okay. Yes,
Cricket.
I've been playing Hunter today.
Death
so
Rattle Hunter.
okay. Yes,
It's
it's the Mech Death Rattle Hunter. Notable cards on this. Oblivitron is actually pretty decent. Okay. It's
Oh,
pretty
yeah?
decent, especially if you play with the Fireworks. What is it? The Fireworks, what's his name? Fireworks Tech.
Firework
the one
Tech?
that triggers the Death Rattle. I had to look it
Yeah.
up. I'm like, wait a second here. I'm like, but it all works together. Like, it's really good. I've bashed some people in with a Ziliax with the mechanical dragon thing and all that stuff. It's pretty cool stuff. Now, like, one thing I was surprised with this is it's actually decent card draw because of the Ursa, was it the Ursatron guy?
bear?
The bear, the mechanical bear. Because when it dies, the Death Rattle, you draw a mech and everything.
Yeah.
And you can actually, when it dies, you can also use like 9 lives to trigger it. And then when you get to Zul'jin and play him, you're playing like Unleash the Beast, 9 lives, Seeker Plant. You're playing all these things at the end just to like kind of like refill your hand and refill the board. And it's actually a pretty good deck. If it can go toe to toe with pretty much all the decks that I faced with it today. I don't think it's overpowered. It's pretty even. But it's a good deck though. So I saw it. It's cool playing against it. I mean, sometimes it's frustrating. It's like just sometimes like, you get the draw, you're like, oh yeah, they got it, you know. But most of the time, it's like a pretty evenly matched. So I like it. It's Mex. It's cool. It's Hunter. It doesn't feel like Rexar just taking over the game type thing, you know, like that type of thing. So yeah, you feel like you can come back if you're playing against it. You feel like you can come back. And there's not. Like,
Unlike
I don't know,
former
for
Death
me,
Rattle
like
Hunter.
I went up against a guy who had like mechanical whelps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 9 live them. So he was popping out the 7/7s,
Mm-hmm.
but he also had more mechanical whelps in his hand.
Yes.
And then the fireworks tech, and it was just like, this is worse than Resurrect Priest.
It just kept coming back. It just kept getting dragons, and they start getting more of the whelps in their hands, so they could play them again. They're like, it's like a never-ending cycle.
Like, you know what? I don't ever want to see this deck again. Like, I'm so sick of Death Rattle Hunter.
Oh, I know what I'm trying later on.
It's
I
a
haven't
fun
seen
deck.
that deck. I haven't seen that deck even once. So
yeah, because the 9 lives, you trigger a Death Rattle, and then you put it in your hand. So you trigger Mechanical Whelp's Death Rattle, plays a 7/7 for 3, and then you get the Mechanical Whelp in your hand, so you can play it the next turn. So it's like, it just keeps going. It keeps going.
And then also, I mean, they've got Spider Bomb for removal of your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other thing that makes things Venomizer, Magnetic Poisonous to get rid of your stuff.
Man, that's
They've got
fine with me, man.
Ziliax,
No Rexar.
Unleash the Beast.
Don't worry about it.
Twin Spell, summon a 5/5 Wyvern with Rush. Like,
Yes.
I'm so done with this.
And I liked Secret Planet, the one that lets you discover a secret. That's been a fun card to just like, because your opponent doesn't know what you picked and you just play it. You're like, have fun. Try to figure that one out.
So if you guys want to try it, this one is also straight out of the Hunter recipes. It's called the Scrap Heap. So if you want a basic form of this, it's right on the Hunter recipes of the rating game.
All right.
Yes. There we go.
So now the last class, we haven't talked about it because, again, I haven't seen too much of it, is Priest. What do you got? You guys seen Priest?
Silence Priest.
Anything? Silence Priest?
That's what I've been seeing.
I've seen one priest and I promptly crushed them, and I don't know what they're playing. So that's all I've seen.
Well, I can tell you in Wild, Priest is everywhere. Priest is like every other game still.
Yes.
They're going to have to do something about that because Vargoth and Resurrect stuff, it's not fair. I mean, it's really just, you can't do anything about it. There's just so much value. Being able to cast Resurrect spells that are cheap and get double Vargoth, which then like it gets exponential, is just... So unless you can turn their board into a board full of stuff, although Flight, what's the card? It's the 3/4, the Flight Planner. I use it in the Tempo Rogue I've been playing, which is I don't know if it's Slizzles. Slizzle posted it, but it basically gives you a Griffin, and so when you have a 2-cost weapon, so turn 5 weapon 3 cost plus a 2/2, you kill their 2/2, and now you have board presence. It's very good. And giving them a Griffin, and they hit Resurrection, the little 2/2 goes out of there. You're like, so
Yes,
it's pretty sweet.
That's great.
But,
that's like playing Leroy against them to give them whelps, and so. But yes.
But Priest in Standard at the moment is, I'm thankfully it's taking a back seat.
Yes.
Somebody will try to do an
I've seen a
Interfire or
couple
something
of
or other,
them.
I'm sure.
There's a couple of new bodies that they can put out that are big, that they can silence, and then they don't have to worry about the bad side effects. Like that one that I think every time it attacks, it gives its opponent a coin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing that
Hench
one, they
Clan
just silence
Shade
it.
Quill is a good card, though. Hench Clan
That one
Shade Quill.
too.
4 cost 4/7 gives your opponent 5 health. Pfft, so what? By the time you kill it, I've done 8 or 12. It's.
And then they have
Worth-
another one that comes out that just copies it, one of the friendly cards' health.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a new one too. They bring that out, and then there's their old standby of Inner Fire and
Yeah. Well, I'm glad at least
Yeah.
for the first
Face
week that
for
we're not
30.
seeing much in the way of Priest on the standard ladder, at least.
I think Priest will be a lot stronger next set when the defenders come out, because that definitely seems like
hopefully it'll be different.
yeah.
I don't want Silence Priest, please. No.
Well, I think
hope
one
they-
of the ways you keep the game fresh is that the same class cannot be dominant for too many sets in a row.
Mhm.
And that's where I think Wild gets on the fence a little bit. Is Priest is very much a dominant class, predominantly dominant class, and everybody else is a distant second. You know what I mean? Rogue, I would say, is probably the counter to Priest, pretty much in a generic sense. But then everybody else is like, it's if you're not, how do you counter Big Priest? It's hard because even Reno decks with some of the good stuff that they can do, they can't deal with that much resurrect. They just can't.
They
It's not the tools
they eventually might have to rotate like Inner Fire, Divine Spirit to Wild, just like Hall of Fame those two because
Yeah.
because I'm just thinking about it because anytime you create like big taunty minions like the Witchwood Grizzly or anything like that, you're going to see that with like those cards. So I want to see the direction they're going to take it because I'm not sure exactly where they want to take Priest because I think they're hesitant. They could be hesitant with a Resurrect route because that would just make. Yeah, I don't think they're looking at Wild. They're just like whatever happens to Wild right now happens to Wild, and
Yeah.
but I mean, they have like maybe like they glimpse over every now and then. They're like, oh, what's going on? Oh, big priest. Okay, you know.
Oh, better nerf Naga Sea Witch, or else that's gonna get out of control.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so, but I want to see where they take because
Positive.
but I want to see where they're going to take it. Honestly, like, is it going to be Sightless Priest? Okay, but like, make it interesting. If you're going to do that, make it interesting. Let's see. Or is it going to be more of like a? I don't know. I mean, Eve, you might know more about because of the lore from WoW and everything, how priests would operate and stuff like that. But like,
Well, the thing that like Priest has is a shadow mode.
mhm.
They do have like a full on darkness, and then like that's where Akanai Soul Priest comes in because it's like if you're gonna go and touch the darkness, it's gonna do damage to you.
Mhm.
So kind of their Shadow Priest mode is it has a downside, but then they can like full on do a lot of damage.
Okay.
It's always
That'd
been
be-
interesting to sort of take Priest in that direction.
Here we go. Story. Okay, I figured it out. Okay, it probably won't happen. But here. All right, Priest will be good this coming set. It'll be like a defender, you know, maybe taunts and all that stuff. But the next set, it'll be like they get turned evil and it's like Shadow. And it's like, that'd be so cool. Like, I don't know.
Azul
I'm like,
is part of the evil. They're not
Yeah.
a defender.
okay. So
She is part of the evil people right now.
okay. I was thinking Anduin type thing. So I wasn't
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
I was thinking Anduin as like the priest defender, but I don't know. All of a sudden, like the class gets to become Shadow, or I don't know. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know.
It would be
I was-
cool. People have been asking for a Shadow Priest for a long time. Like that one time where you could turn
Mm-hmm.
your hero power to do damage. And then if
Yeah.
you use the card again, it did like even more damage.
It did
They were
3
like, give
damage,
us
yeah.
more of these.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's called Shadow Form. That's what it's called.
Yeah,
Shadow Form.
It's
Yeah,
still
but
a
if you
card.
go-
It's a classic card.
yeah.
that's true.
But
It
maybe-
still exists.
Maybe not make the hero power like cost 0 and do 2 damage. But anyway, that's you know. Don't do that.
Wait,
don't
did they do that? No.
I don't do that again. Okay, but but you know, but
Yeah,
make cars that reflect
Beware
like
what
the,
you wish for,
Yes.
and you just might get it.
Right.
I'm just saying they don't have to change like really the. I mean, I guess they can with some of the cards, but you know, just make the minions like shadow minions, basically. You know, that'd be kind of cool. That's all I'm asking for. Is like
Your healing spells now do damage is kind of a thing they're probably going to keep.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, exactly. Or it just only deals damage to minions, not like to the face, whatever. That'd be kind of
Right, that'll
interesting.
keep it in check. If
They
it's
can
really
print that
damage.
on every like shadow card, like your hero power now does. You know, as long as you have like that minion and like your hero power. I don't know. I'm getting to theory here. I'm sorry about that. But anyway,
It's
but
all
it's
good.
just
I
Okay.
want to briefly touch on some news before we
Okay.
wrap up that we forgot to mention. Due to some changes to how information displays in the game related to the way we do set rotations, the solo adventures for Knights of the Frozen Throne and Kobolds and Catacombs will be temporarily unavailable when their corresponding card sets rotate out on April 9th, which happened, so is now. They're working on a solution, but don't have a specific date to share at this time. If you have ever played either of these solo adventures, you will continue to have access to them, even if you haven't earned all the rewards. You'll also be able to earn those rewards whenever you like. If you have not, the adventures will continue to be available for free when they return, and will continue to grant the same card rewards, even those that are no longer in the standard format. So I guess when they rotate out, it messes up the code. And for a while, you're not going to be able to access those adventures. But they will come back, so don't fret if it's happening to you and you're freaking out. No worries.
there we go.
Cool beans.
Awesome.
So, well, let's see here. I guess it's probably time to wrap up the show. I'll plug where you can find us. If you want to follow us, if you want to check out any of our older episodes, look us up. You can head on over to villainschosen.com. It's our website. We have all our episodes, all 180 of them,
Nice.
interspersed with lore moments. So there's quite a bit of lore there. You can look those up if you want to get kind of sort of Eve's chronology of the history of Azeroth, and she goes back to 0. So if you want something to listen to on a long drive cross country, or if you work in a place where you sit by yourself and you just need podcasts, that's the way to go. If you want to support the show, there's a bunch of ways you can do it. One is you can head on over to patreon.com/Velan's Chosen Podcast. Send us that cup of coffee or that couple card packs, whatever you want to do. Anything is welcome and much appreciated. We do have a new patron, Chris B. Thank you for supporting the show. Much appreciated. And I would be remiss if I didn't say a big, giant, heartfelt thank you to our predominant, wonderful sponsor, Jamie S. Jamie's been a sponsor of our show for a long time, and we are very, very grateful for his patronage over the years now. So thanks again, Jamie. I've been enjoying talking to Jamie this week about, we've been theory crafting some Paladin stuff. He really wants to make a Prism Paladin deck work. So there's
Prism or Prison?
Depends on how you look at it.
I wasn't sure which one.
So Prism, like the Prism, it looks like a Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon kind of artwork.
Yes.
So he's trying to make that work, and so we've been theory crafting about it, and we've traded some decks, and it's been kind of fun. So thanks again, Jamie. Always appreciated.
I wanted to say thank you to Christopher B. again one more time, because it's been such a long time since we got a new patron for the show.
It has been a long time, actually.
And when the notification popped up, I was just like, yes, new patron.
My wife got really mad at me once. Can I share something kind of tragic about myself? This is stupid. This is me being a dum-dum. But I'll self-deprecate for a minute. So many of us go to college. Many of us get a good amount of college debt. I was no exception. So I've been paying. Last spring I paid it off finally. Yes, so happy about that, right?
Wow. That's huge.
it was upwards of $50,000, so it was a lot of money, right? So I paid it off finally, and I got the notice in the mail, and I was like, good, yes. And then I walked away, and my wife was like, "Would you be more happy?" Well, and then I got a notification. On the Velan's email, I was sitting at the table. It was like a $5 patron. I'm like, woohoo, $5 patron, yeah, like that. And she goes, wait. You just paid off your college debt, and you're kind of blank and indifferent. But then you get a $5 patron, and you cheer. That she was totally incredulous. And I was like,
I love your priorities, Grant. Good job.
My priorities are really, really out of whack here. But,
well, here's one that will make you happy. We got a 5-star iTunes review.
That makes me happier. Yes. Read it,
I will read it.
Yes.
It's by Random Identity.
That doesn't sound
from
suspicious.
Germany.
Okay.
I love it. It starts out, of course, Velan's Chosen is a first-class podcast about Hearthstone, which covers all analytic aspects of the game, offers in-depth card reviews, and is always aware of the mental dimension a competitive game brings with it. Wow. Well written. But actually, it is so much more. Eve and Grant give this podcast a journalistic scope and share their private and sometimes intimate, but never shallow thoughts on gaming and life in general. So every episode is a kept promise of spending time with some close friends. Thank you very much for this lovely show. Hail to the not lost and the not robs.
Oh, I love it. That's that's a good one. That's a really good one.
That's a good one. I
would put that on my wall.
Thank you so much for writing that. That was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Random Identity.
And any of you who have, I'm sure there are hundreds of people who have been longtime listeners that have never written a review. If you haven't written a review, do us a favor. Write us a review. We'll read it on the show like that. And we'll cheer for you. And honestly, if you don't like what we do and there's things you want to tell us, we are humble enough to take all criticism, and we will listen to it, and we will consider it, and try to make improvements as best we can, because we do try to put out as good a show as we know how to.
Can I not write another review if I've already written one? Will allow me to do that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that you could do it on now that we're on Podbean and Spotify, you can probably do it on different.
True story.
Places.
Different. Yeah.
Okay.
We are on Podbean. Okay. We are on Spotify now, so you can listen.
Guess what I'm doing later.
So if you don't use iTunes or our iTunes podcast or anything like that, you can still get the show. Of course, you can also listen on the website too. Let me see here. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think so. Okay, good. Navalis.
Yes.
Bro, thanks for being an awesome bro and coming on the show. Where can people find you and your content if they want to get a hold of you and talk to you or talk cards? Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at WhatTheDeckHS or in Velan's Discord. You can just hit me up there as well. And if you want to talk about cards or Hearthstone or anything like that, I'll be there. I'm working on some new content soon, so stay tuned for that. So looking forward to getting back into the game, doing that. And then if you're ever in Knoxville, Tennessee, hit me up. I will show you some awesome coffee shops and some cool places to hike. So you can do that. It's a great place to visit. So, but yeah, that's where you can find me. Those two places on Twitter and Knoxville. So
yeah, man. Sounds like a plan.
So, and I just want to say thank you so much, both of you, for having me on. It's been an awesome welcome back to the community. Coming to you guys are like, hey, we want you on. I'm like, oh man, this will be great.
Our pleasure, man. Our pleasure.
It's been good. So, anytime, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Eve, where can people find you?
When I'm not muting my mic because my son is feeding our geckos. You can find me in Canada, way up north, on Twitter at.
If you only could see the video right now, I encourage you.
Right at the end, guys, right at the end.
Last 2 minutes of it. Just watch that.
Lore Master Eve. I recently changed my name. I went on Twitter and asked everybody for advice, and I can't remember who it was. Now I need to go back and find out who reminded me that before I changed my name on Twitter to Lore Master Eve, it was Finnevar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Who nobody could remember how to spell, which was hilarious.
How many R's, how many N's?
Right. I remembered, and that is now my new PlayStation name. So now no one's going to remember how to spell it there. Because it was one of my main World of Warcraft characters in World of Warcraft. So I am now Finnevar.
Yes.
Finnevar lives. You've resurrected her.
If you want to find my lore in other places, Ridiculous Hat and I have recorded a 3-hour-long episode telling the full and complete story of The Last of Us video game. I will give another warning. It is explicit, has explicit language. So if that's not your jam, then don't listen to it. It's pretty hardcore and dark and scary and depressing, but it touched me. That game that I played touched me in a very strong way, and I just wanted to tell the story to people who might never play it, but were kind of interested to know about the phenomenon that was The Last of Us before the next one comes out. So if you're interested in that, go take a listen over at the Knights of Lore.
Awesome. Well, if you want to find me, you don't have to, but if you want to, go on over to Twitter at WatchmanHS. I am a deck posting machine. If I see something I like, I post it, and I'll probably have played it if I post it. I follow wild and standard players alike. I play it all. So whatever you're interested in. Right now, if you want to play a cheap deck, Paladin's cheap and Druid's cheap. Play those. Those are real good. And I think actually Murloc Shaman's cheap and good as well.
Oh, I played that. That was fun. There's just that legendary, the new one that makes your Murlocs.
Scargill. That was my free golden one. I was like, man, I was actually disappointed, but like, well, I got it. So
real quick, okay. So you got I know we have to close. You got the golden Murloc Scargill, right? What about you, Eve? What was your golden? Did you get a golden?
The barista.
The barista. Okay.
See, barista.
That's cool. I really wanted that one, but I did get that one for one of the packs. But I got Hagatha, the new Hagatha card, golden.
That's a good one too.
Ooh,
yeah,
so that one today.
You a golden in your hand.
Yes.
That's like double golden.
I played that.
Wait a minute, is Barista in any decks right now?
No, but I like that card a lot, though. I don't know. Maybe this.
Like a lot of people like it and think it's cool, but I'm not saying it played.
I'm going to poison the water. I think in Wild, Barista in a Shutterwalk deck is stupid.
Oh yeah, so there was a control.
It puts
shaman
it all
that
back
was
in your
playing.
hand.
Yes.
Woo.
There's a control shaman and standard playing that. I have to look that up. So anyway.
Okay, I'll have to check it out because I have it in golden, so like I need to find a place to play it somewhere.
Yes.
Anyways, if you want to get in a hold with any of us anytime, come on over to our Discord. If you can't find a link there, just go to the valiantshows.com and you just click the links there and it'll take you to the Discord. That's where it's happening with us. Let's get those people back that who have wandered. They're not lost, they just wandered. So let's get those guys back. Welcome back, Rise of Shadows. Thanks for, I think it strengthened the community. Eve, sign us off.
Yes.
Not all who wander are lost. See you later, guys.
Take care, everyone.
See ya.
I foresaw this.
Did I miss it?